so we're sitting here, table full of veterans. So let's start to my left. We have Eric Cortez. Eric works actually at pretty much all our events and at the Kissimmee location. So Eric, tell me a little bit about your time in the Army as far as what ranks you went through, what your duty stations were.
So the last time I was in uniform, I had 3 stripes, sergeant. I was an infantry sergeant. My main job was to basically be in charge of a five-man team.
So what was your MOS when you got out?
When I got out, it was 11 Bravo 20, so
Okay.
infantry sergeant.
Gotcha. A lot of 11 bang bangs here.
Yeah.
Go figure. What do you know of guns?
The easiest job to basically get and the funnest job to have. Obviously.
Okay.
You get to play with the guns all the time. You get to play with the booms that everybody likes, especially when you're 18 years old. You know?
Gotcha. And you went in as an 11 bang bang, right?
I did. I
Okay.
went in as a PFC.
Okay.
I did ROTC for 4 years in high school, so that obviously afforded me the chance to be E3, which is, it's more money
It's a
at the end of
jump.
the day.
Yeah.
It's more money than usually people come in as no rank at all. I came in 2013, and I got out in 2018.
Okay.
And that's when I joined the Armories.
Gotcha. What was your duty stations? Where'd you serve?
My whole time that I was in 25th ID, Infantry Division.
Is that Tropic Lightning?
Yes, sir. Tropic Lightning.
Wikipedia, baby.
I got stationed in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, and Fairbanks, Alaska.
Well, I'm not sure if you heard earlier, Tim Taylor works up at Oviedo. He's stationed at Schofield.
That's correct. When me and Tim started working together, after talking a little bit about our time in the service, we figured out that we were in the same unit.
That's awesome.
Actually in the same battalion.
Oh, no kidding.
Almost in the same company, which is a small world. Everything in the military is a small world. You're always gonna bump into somebody that you never knew, but were with you in the service.
Oh, very cool, man. Very cool. Now let me transition. We're going to go over to Steve Miller. Full disclosure, Steve's one of the longest-serving employees with the Armories right now. Steve's the assistant general manager over at our store at the Kissimmee. So, Steve, how long were you in? What was your rank? What was your MOS?
I was a 35 Mike. I was a human intelligence collector, and I was a private first class. I wasn't in for too terribly long. Ended up getting out a little bit earlier due to an injury, but it was a very interesting experience. I scored really, really high on the ASVAB, so I went in originally wanting to sign up. I wanted to go for something that could limit
Right.
what I could do, and they said, oh, yeah, you can just be whatever you want. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. So I ended up going Intel, and it was very fun. It was very, very
Must have been a
interesting.
hell of a school.
It was very, very intense, honestly. Only so much I can really talk about, I can imagine.
Well,
But
no, you don't have to get into details.
it was human intelligence. It's very broadly, it's collecting information. It's
Okay.
just talking to people. That's really what
Different from signal intelligence.
Yeah,
Okay.
very, very different from signals. So it's really just hanging out, talking with people, and there's different ways to go about it. And it was a different experience.
Awesome.
Looking back on it, I probably would have done something a little bit differently, but I don't regret it in
I made the man
slightest at
yard
all.
today.
It did.
It did, 100%. 100%. Now let me swing around. Corey, want to introduce yourself?
Sir, my name's Corey Rewinkle. I was in the Air Force. Pretty sure the only Air Force guy in the in the company. Last rank was senior airman.
So that's like 43 different stripes and a bird or something?
Only 3. Only 3. I was in 2008 to 2012, and duty stations were Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska and Ramstein Air Force Base,
Okay.
Germany.
And what was your job in the Air Force?
I did security forces, which they tried to do a split between security guard duties and law enforcement, which as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old was not
Bit of
my,
a challenge,
not my
right?
thing. Yeah, try to get people to listen to you.
Now, interestingly enough, I ran into a lot of security forces guys when I was in Iraq, specifically around BIOP, which was the Baghdad International Airport. And then from there, I mean, inside of the Camp Victory, they had an airfield. And you just couldn't get in. You just couldn't walk into the gates like you would a normal airport. I had to go through. Once you got on to the area, there were several layers of security forces. Is that what you're referring to?
Somewhat, mainly my duty, because I was kind of low ranking.
Okay.
Do the whole ID check.
But it says senior.
Senior. Yeah, senior airman. I wasn't a sergeant yet. And never did. Basically, just check IDs and try to establish some kind of law on bases.
Well, very cool, man. So let me ask you, while you said Ramstein, right? Germany?
Ramstein, Germany, yeah.
And what did you do when you were in Germany?
That was my first duty station.
Okay.
Basically, I guarded the flight line, checked IDs at the gate.
Now, at that time, there was a lot of activity at that base. I remember flying in and out of Ramstein a couple of times.
Yeah, there was Ramstein is the biggest city of Americans outside of America.
Oh, no kidding. Also,
Yeah.
like, if I remember correctly, that was the third or fourth stage within military trauma care, right? Once you left the theater of combat, if you were injured, you went to Ramstein first.
Yeah, I think you go to Ramstein and then you go to
Steenstein.
Kuwait,
Yeah, it'll be
Kuwait
all
or
right.
something like that. Yeah, so a lot of people deploying in and out of Ramstein. When I was there, they opened up the biggest like BX,
Okay.
PX.
Now, tell us
in
what that is
America.
for the people that don't know.
PX is the exchange. It's kind
It's
of
like Walmart and
like
Green.
like a mall.
Yeah.
and
It's like a
stuff
grocery
that.
store
Yeah.
and more.
And it had a hotel attached to it, so people deploying like
Okay.
stay there.
Get your star card.
Get your star card.
Let's not talk about the star cards.
but I'm
still
put
paying it
that
off.
on star card.
But you love of German beer?
I was 18
Ah,
when I was over there, so
criminal.
Initially, I was very skeptical. I was like, everyone was like, "Hey, you can drink at 18 over here," and I was like, "I don't know about that." so I was very scared to get my first alcohol, but I think that's That's what I attributed to my alcohol problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
what
Restless in
started it
combat,
all.
you're Germany. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that 100%. So, Eric, let me ask you a question, man. Living in Alaska, living and working in Alaska, right? Different world, man. I've been to Alaska. I was up in, Jesus, man, I'm getting old. I did a med cap up on the Yukon, the Bering Sea and the Yukon, meeting the Delta up there. And I'll remember the name eventually. It's just super interesting. The whole state is either hot or cold, white or brown.
There's honestly two sides to Alaska. Everybody says, well, Alaska's just cold, period. But when you start talking about summertime, it often gets even hotter than Florida. I think the first summer I was there, it was about 110 degrees. But the difference between Florida and Alaska is that it's dry.
Okay.
So you feel that heat a little bit more. And the wintertime obviously gets pretty cold. The first winter we spent over there in 2016 in February, I was sent over to California to train.
Okay. Fort Irwin?
And yeah, Fort Irwin.
Everyone
correct.
says
NTC.
hell. Yeah.
NTC.
That's the Army, right?
Yeah. And my wife sent me a text message when I was able to have my phone, and she says, "Why the heck did you bring us here?" I asked her why, and she says, "Well, it's negative 56 degrees today, and I cannot go anywhere." But honestly, it is. Talking to many native Alaskans, my wife used to work as a dispatcher there. So talking to many of those people, they say that the cold and the winter is Alaska's saving grace.
Really?
Because you don't have that many tourists come in the wintertime.
Gotcha.
If it was nice and 80 degrees every day year round, then everybody would fly Alaska. The hunting, the fishing, the nature, it is
Done.
perfect.
That's perfect, man. I actually can dig that. So did you, military-wise, and what did you do in Alaska?
So when I got to Alaska, I was an infantry team leader.
Okay.
So I was in charge of a 5-man team, it's did different weapon systems. It's the lowest level of leadership you have in the military, technically, as a team leader. I did that for a little bit. I got promoted to sergeant, and then I became my sergeant major's driver/bodyguard.
Okay.
I worked in the operations shop, so my job was to maintain the vehicle, which, when you say maintain a vehicle, it sounds easy enough, right? But that vehicle alone is worth $3 million
Really?
without the equipment in it.
Okay.
So it's a very expensive vehicle. And obviously, working for a sergeant major, you know that all those sergeant majors are very picky, very OCD. A little bit of dust
yeah,
and they'll
man.
freak out. Yeah.
That's the the privilege of rank.
Yeah. Other than that, I had other side duties. I was the master unmanned aerial vehicle trainer. So I trained everybody in the unit that was I had a license to fly it was called the Raven.
Okay.
So you simply throw it in the air. You can do some reconnaissance and stuff like that. And I also did the unit prevention leader.
Okay.
So we drug tested everybody every so often. They always
so you're
hated
the
you.
piss sergeant.
Exactly. To put it nicely, right?
Oh, I'm not putting anything nicely today, just so you know. I'm like 4 drinks deep. We're good.
And yeah, and then after that, I spent 2.5 years in Alaska, and then I was med boarded.
Okay.
I hurt my knee, and they said I could no longer be in the infantry.
But Steve, so you're in school, right? Teaching you how to do human intelligence collections, right? You know, without getting into details that might, be inappropriate, give me an idea of the general sense of at those schools what you guys are doing.
So a lot of it is separated really in, like, there's indoor and there's outdoor human. Indoor is if you're on a base, say even like a military grade prison, where you have people that are brought in and you're talking to them. And then the other is you're going out into the field, you're attaching yourself to different units and collecting information from people, just hearing what a Navy term would be, like the scuttlebutt would be.
Okay.
Right? That's basically what they're training you for both, honestly, and finding where you can specialize in from there, finding what you're going to be really, really good at and kind of focusing you in from there.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. So I know in my trips out to Iraq, I'd run into guys or hear of missions that were human intelligence collecting, right? Huge battlefield presence.
I wouldn't really say that you're going to see them very much.
Okay.
Usually, a lot of my buddies who have been in for years and years and years, they were given like plain clothes and they're told just go and do what you need to do.
Okay.
Right? Attach yourself where you need to attach and so on. So you won't really see too terribly many. And those are the very, very, very few that would actually be going out and
Okay.
doing the job, like the field work.
Right.
The vast majority are usually inside. You never see them.
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha,
never
gotcha.
ever see them. If you do, you've probably done
Somebody's
something
made a
super
mistake,
crazy,
right? Yeah.
Or you're taking someone who has made a really, really serious mistake to them, right?
Fair
you
enough.
might have a cool job taking them to the people who would do my job.
Oh, well, very cool, man.
It's funny though, working with in the infantry. Obviously, sometimes you have the human intel guys attached to us, and they try so hard to not be seen, but that makes them even more seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it becomes
so you
obvious,
will
right?
will spot them.
I'm not
Yeah.
in the corner. Don't look at me right now.
Yeah. So and that's actually something that's something that they talk about. Don't be obvious.
Right.
You know.
Well, it's
and
gonna
then some
happen.
people get like, oh man, this is what I need to do. Oh no.
Yeah, I look at
Oh,
that
no.
scene in Guardians of the Galaxy where he's standing there going, I perfected the art of not moving so I'm invisible. Right. That's what I
myself
think of, right?
am extremely humble.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, Corey, let me ask you, bro. From the time in the military, did anything translate? How was your transition?
Transition. When I went into the military, I was only 17.
Okay.
Like 2 months, like graduated high school. So it was a huge change of scenery for me. Like trying to learn how to be an adult. Like
See, I didn't get that phase. I didn't get to learn how to be an adult, at least for the first couple of years.
well,
The trial years.
Yeah.
it was kind of weird. Just like you're just high school. You had some kind of guidance. Like parent wise.
Right.
And then here you are in for me, San Antonio, like getting yelled at, and then by a drill instructor, and trying to like, how do I do things?
Right. Teach me how to tie my shoes again.
Tie my shoes, how to make a bed.
Right.
It's funny though because
Fold.
even not knowing how to, feeling that way, they never failed you.
No.
You always have somebody that always telling you what to do, guiding you in the right direction,
Right.
and telling you what time to be at what location.
And that's the thing. When you're 17, 18, 19, you look at it as I'm getting yelled at, I'm doing something wrong, but they're actually trying to teach you something.
Guide you along.
Yeah, you have
Get
to,
you to grow.
You have to establish
It's true.
kind of like a trust with the people above
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. I do appreciate
guys-
how you said that.
Yeah, it's like these guys have been through it. Let me kind of like follow them a little bit.
And that's the thing is you look up to the senior leadership, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. They've been there theoretically in your shoes, right? So from there, you would expect
true.
them to help grow what we're looking to do. But so when you got out of the Air Force, you transitioned. What was it like for you? Where did you go from the Air Force?
Right at the Air Force, I went to college, Full Sail,
Okay.
and
Oh, I thought you said college. I'm sorry. Yeah.
well, yeah, they tried to be. Yeah, I totally understand. It was Full Sail has a big veteran community.
They
though.
do.
They do. So it was kind of a easy transition.
What'd you major in?
Film.
Film. So how was the transition when you got out of the Air Force? Having all the same habits, having to show up at a certain time. How was that for you when you got out?
for me, it was like you still had to be on time, like
Right.
with class, like you had to be either on time or 15 minutes early.
Yeah. If you're 15 minutes early, 15 minutes late, right?
Yep.
It's the most important thing in the military.
Pay attention in class. Stand up straight.
All right.
Don't fall asleep if you feel tired.
Fair
Get up,
enough.
Get up and sit in the back.
I get that, man. I get that. So, Eric, let me ask you: when you transitioned out, how was it for you?
So for me, honestly, it was shocking. Going from wearing the uniform every single day that I did for the last 6 years. Many people say that 6 years is not a long time, but when you wear that uniform every single day, you tend to miss it when you take it off for the last time. I had a little bit more of a distraction with taking care of my family, my daughter, my
Beautiful
wife.
family. I've met them.
Thank you.
And congratulations, a recent father again, right?
Oh yeah, little big boy. Hopefully, put him as a
I don't know where he
football
gets the
player
hate
one day.
from, right?
But it was distracting, so it wasn't as hard as it is for a lot of people that get out and don't really have anything to fall back on. But I quickly recouped, and the first thing I did was honestly go to the armories and turn in my resume. And a few days later, I got the phone call to get the job. But I also started school right after, so I had a huge distraction starting
going to school for?
I go to school in Valencia, Valencia College for criminal justice.
Okay.
So I'll be done in December with my associates in criminal justice.
Good deal.
And piggybacking off of what Corey was saying,
Very military term.
yeah.
Yeah. Piggybacking. Let me peel the onion here. It behooves you.
So saying what he was talking about, when if I compare myself going to college at 18 versus now that I'm 20, I was 25 when I first started college. I honestly say that I would have either dropped out or I would have been failing college.
Okay. What
The
do you attribute that to?
the discipline that I get, the values that they instill on you, it's just the little things that you start to notice.
Okay.
Going to school, even in college, you're there with 16, 17-year-olds.
Right.
And their priorities sometimes compared to yours are completely different.
Fair.
Day and night. They're worried about the social life, about who they're going to go out with and stuff like that. And me being there on time, paying attention to what I need to do, doing my homework when I need to be, has attributed the biggest success for me.
Okay.
I've
And that's
noticed
why
that.
I'm proud.
Yeah.
I'm proud
Big difference.
to graduate in December with a 4.0.
Congratulations. Well done, man. Well done. So, Steve, let me ask you, why did you get into the Army? And why did you pick that career field?
I went into the Army because the Air Force closed their office.
Had I known the Coast Guard was open that day, I'd probably
right?
gone there.
No, I joke around, but seriously, I was talking to the Air Force, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I've made the decision. I'm going to sign up. Right? I was working a job that I fucking hated. I
Fair enough.
hated my entire existence. I was unhappy. I'm like, I'd rather roll around the dirt. I'd do anything that the government would tell me to. Just get me out of here. And I made the decision. I was already talking to them. I went up to their office, and they were closed. There was a single Army poster posted up inside. So I'm like, okay, well, let me change up my idea a little bit. So I started going down the line. I went to the Navy, and that's where I really started doing all my processing. And it was weird. I scored stupidly high in the ASVAB, so they're like, yeah, you can do whatever. What's that?
Idiot savant.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was going to go for nuke, and they're like, oh, no, but like after a week, they're like, no, you can't do that, but we'll go make you a SEAL. I'm like, really badass, but not what I'm looking for. I wanted something that I could jump onto and get a better job outside the military on. So I kept going down the line. I ended with the Army.
Well,
And
let me stop you
went
there
from
for a second. So, as you went through that process, let me ask you, what to the young men and women who are thinking of joining, what advice would you give them?
First off, do it.
Okay.
It's one of the best things that you could ever possibly do. It was amazing and life-changing for me. If you're thinking about it, honestly, if you feel it in your heart of hearts, go for it. Don't even hesitate.
That's good advice. Don't
Honestly.
hesitate. Good for you, man. I appreciate
Honestly.
that. I do. Corey, how about you? Any advice?
Just like Steve said, just do it. Like, I was able to live in Germany for 2 years. Like,
Did you live on the
Government
con-
expenses.
Yeah. You can't beat that. That's hard to beat.
Yeah, some people never been to Germany or probably never will. And, here I
Plus
am.
all the side trips you take.
Side trips like Paris
Yeah.
from Ramstein was like 4 hours away.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Eric, anything you'd say to these young kids who are looking to join?
Honestly, I would say going with an open mind, and always
Why don't you
keep that
build
open
on that?
mind. So everybody has a notion of what it's like to be in the military. Like Corey was saying a little while ago, getting yelled at and being told what to do at all. But you have to do your time. You have to promote up, and part of keeping an open mind will lead you to be successful in the military.
Okay.
Always taking that criticism from your superiors will make a huge difference in your success in the military. If you don't like it, it happens. Not everybody likes it. It's not for everybody. But at the end of the day, it's a great opportunity. You get to meet a lot of great people like we have here today. And your doors open up for when you get out.
Oh, very cool. Well, guys, personally, speaking for myself and the company, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak with me. You guys have all 1% of the population has raised their hand and put on a uniform, so you stand head and shoulders above your peers. So thank you very much, and I do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you.
Brett.
Nah, it's our pleasure.